believe we are live over on YouTube. So we're going to start this right about. What is up, everybody? Welcome to Comic Book Club. I'm Alex.
I'm Justin.
I'm Pete.
And we are coming to you live from a couple of places on the internet. We're live on Crowdcast. We're live on YouTube. We are not live, coming to you later as an audio podcast on Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you get podcasts. But very exciting news. Finally, the three of us back on a podcast together.
Wow.
After many
Yeah, it's been a bit. I've been missing it.
It is. We're all in very different places now, emotionally and physically.
Yeah, no shit.
But that's all right. That's all right. Pete, it was just your birthday yesterday. Yeah. You got any fun comic book themed gifts?
No. Someone did have their child draw a picture of me. That was pretty cool birthday present.
Just random child or a child you know? Or...
Dorby Doodle's child drew that. I thought it was a pretty good resemblance of me.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you in so long. Honestly, I have no idea what you look like. So it's weird.
Corbin Doodle's kid can send you a picture too, so you can never forget what Pete looks like. You should just hold that up, honestly, the entire podcast.
Yeah. I love the open mouth sort of scream you're doing in that rendering.
Yeah.
Very
That's
true.
Pretty awesome. Do you know what else is awesome? Is the great guests that we have on the show tonight. We got two of them for you all, so we're going to bring in one of our favorite guys to talk to, and he has a new project coming out from Vault Comics in August called Hard Eyes. That is a very cool, twisted book. Ladies and gentlemen, Dennis Hopeless, hello.
Hey.
How's it going, fellas?
Yes.
Welcome.
Good to see you again. Very excited to talk about this book. So, correct me if I'm wrong, it's coming out August 17th from Vault Comics, is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. We got pushed back a little bit because of some printing issues and such. But yeah, we're August 17th now.
So
let's get into printing issues. Everyone's favorite topic.
This book is great. We're always big fans of your work, but this is a very twisted, very different book. There's a lot of twists and turns in the first issue that I don't want to spoil. So how do you pitch it? What's your pitch?
It took me the longest time to come up with an elevator pitch because what the book is in the first issue and what it becomes when shit hits the fan later they're kind of hard to talk about. So the first issue is a little bit like Romeo and Juliet after a Lovecraftian apocalypse.
Nice. Well done. I like that.
I like that you say the shit hits the fan later because it feels like the shit is in the fan at the start of this. Like someone bought a fan with shit in it and they're like, let me plug this in and start it.
That's a horrible idea.
That's the metaphor we're working with. Yeah, that's a great company.
Go ahead.
Pete?
Well, I was just going to say, I don't want to insult this man's work. It's very creative and crazy twists and turns, but comparing it to shit in a fan and then buying a shitty fan, I don't want people to get those kind of think that when they're going to the store, they're like, I'm here for the shit fan. I think it's just so much better than that.
Yeah, well, the thing about the book, the art is so gorgeous. Like Victor Ibanez and I worked on Jean Grey at Marvel a few years ago, and I knew that I wanted to create our own book with him someday. And him working with Addison Duke, who's our amazing colorist, it is one of the prettiest books that's ever had my name on it. Like I'm just thrilled with the artwork. But yeah, it's sort of the story of a kid runs into what he thinks is the girl of his dreams, but it's years after these giant monsters sort of ate society, and he's been hiding underground with his family. And all his family sees is a manic pixie nightmare come to eat them. And then things kind of go absolutely insane from there.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because it definitely in the first issue plays on the whole manic pixie dream girl trope. What's your take on that? I imagine you don't love it.
Yeah, we were playing with that on purpose. She is not what he sees, which doesn't necessarily mean she's bad. It's just this is a person who his whole life has been being protected since the world fell. He has a very capable family who have put a lot of energy into keeping themselves safe and him safe. And their whole life revolves around that. But now he's coming of age. He's, he's mostly grown and he wants a different life for himself. So when he sees a girl his own age, and runs into her on the street, all he sees is, oh, there's someone attractive that I like. There's a life for me. And so I think that's kind of the problem with the Manic Pixie Dream Girl trope to begin with, is it's about what the guy sees and not who the character really is. But I will say that Lupe, the girl in this case, is our protagonist, and the book follows her from here on out. So yeah, the first issue is very much from the perspective of the guy seeing her, and then we shift that as it goes forward.
What is it about the sort of tentacle monster that drew you in? It feels like that is such a strong choice for your apocalypse.
Well, the fun thing about this book is that visually it all comes from Victor. Victor and I, like I said, we worked together before, and we had always wanted to do a creator-owned book. But right around the time Pencils Down happened, when all my Marvel books got paused and canceled, and there was no work going on, a lot of creators were just like dealing with early COVID and sitting on our hands. And Victor posted this image of Lupe with like a tentacle monster thing, just put it on his social media. And I reached out and I'm like, what is that? That looks amazing. And he's like, I don't know. Her name's Lupe. Like, you want to do a story? So we kind of started with the visuals and then built from there. And obviously I was in a post-apocalyptic headspace dealing with 2 kids under 6 during COVID.
Wow.
Feeling all of that pressure and tension and feeling trapped in our homes and not knowing if anything was ever going to go back to normal. It all just kind of boiled together into the stew that became Hard Eye.
So as you're going on then, when you are introducing these monsters, is it still just letting him go with it? Is any of it in the script? How do you work that back and forth?
Yeah, I write pretty detailed scripts just because I want to put as much of what's in my head onto the page as possible to help the artist. But I always make super clear, especially with people that I've got a working relationship with, I trust you to change any of this that you want. Like your visual grasp is better than mine. So with Victor, it's a lot of back and forth and conversation. I give him exactly what I see, and then he'll often come back and be like, I don't follow what you're saying here, or I have a different idea. Can we do that? So I see the book in layouts and thumbnails and all the way through to the end to make sure we're on the same page. He's also extremely detail oriented. I don't know if you've noticed from the book, but like everything's in amazing, perfect perspective. And if I ask him to do a cutout, he does it in 3/4 so you can see like the pipes underground and all this stuff. So he makes sure it would all work in the real world as much as possible, which is fun with a monster book, because it is so detailed and rich, and it makes it feel, the world of the book feels very 3-dimensional and terrifying.
I love that it came out of you seeing his work. What was the process like to sort of build the story from that? Was it like he was on board, you're like, all right, let's work this out? Or did the idea come sort of fully formed?
Yeah, no, we tossed it back and forth a lot. A lot of the backstory of the book and like what happened to the world and how we got here came from Victor's ideas. And then where we went with it was all like how I was feeling and what I was dealing with. Like this idea that we're all sort of mentally ill in our own way. And when awful things happen to the world, that intensifies. And we spend a lot of time in our own way and ruining our relationships because this thing that's kind of always there in the back of our brains is now throbbing. I wanted to tell a story about that. I didn't want to do the end of the world so much as what is life like? What is love like? What is, loneliness and longing like after the world ends or changes?
What is it like working with Vault as a publisher?
They're amazing. I had never worked. I have a really weird creator-owned experience in my career because I did like a book and a half, and then I got a bunch of Marvel work, and it kept me busy forever. And then I've done one creator-owned book really since my Marvel career took off. So when I had time to focus on it and started doing this and another book, I didn't really know, like, I've got a relationship with Image, but who else is out there? And I had seen Barbaric was kind of blowing up and doing really well and looked amazing. And then I saw that Alex Packnadel was going to do a book with them. So I know Alex up to him, and he had nothing but positive things to say about Vault. So I reached out to Vault. Fortunately, Adrian, the editor-in-chief of Vault, is a big fan of my Spider-Woman run. So immediately was like, yes, let's do a book together. They're fantastic. Like, it's a small company and a relatively new company, but like the way they promote and like the marketing department and the way everybody throws their whole weight of the company behind every project is like, I don't know how the hell they do it. It's really impressive. And it's been really fun to be like a part of that and not just be left alone to market it on my own. So I'm not great at that. So it's been nice to have that team behind me. Plus, their books are amazing. Like somebody called them the A24 of comics, and I really feel like that is what they're doing. Yeah. The stuff, it is only similar in that it's all weird and smart and fantastic.
I love hearing that, and I do think there's, this is not necessarily for you. Maybe this is more for somebody over at Vault, but I think it's such a crazy time to be starting a new comic book company at this point. Yeah. With the pandemic, with supply chain issues, with everything else. So you got to stand out somehow. And if you are selling yourself as the A24 of comics, I think that's a smart way of doing it.
Yeah, just the ability. I agree. Like, it seems like a really insane thing to ever do, to try to make money in comic books, right, and to jump off that cliff. But yeah, they just never stop. Like, Adrian he seems to be working 24/7. He's more passionate about all of the books and the company than anybody else I've ever worked with. And it's fun to watch them kind of grow it, like become more of a force in comic books, and people are taking notice, which is cool.
Yeah.
A question about your process. You said you have two kids who are young. Maybe they've obviously aged since COVID.
Yeah.
But I am in that same boat. How do you work? When do you work? What are you doing? You seem healthy.
I love this question. Justin asks this question of parents on our show all the time, and it's very clearly like, please help.
Yeah, no, I'm drowning. I'm drowning here. What are you doing?
COVID was impossible. Because for a variety of reasons. Like, Pencils Down was really difficult. Like, I was doing a Exo Man of War ongoing that our first issue came out, and then Diamond stopped for 6 weeks or whatever. And then I had multiple Marvel things lined up that got paused and eventually canceled for various reasons. So it was hard from that standpoint. But then it's like, okay, now I got to get other stuff off the ground. But my children are here 100% of the time. And now my girlfriend has a 5-year-old that's almost 6, and my twin boys are almost 8. When they're home, there's no work getting done. Like, it would be unfair to her for me to not help with that.
Yeah.
And also,
later, I'm just going to be writing in the basement for like a little while.
Right. Like, even doing an interview, like, we have to line that up because, like, the kids can't be stomping upstairs or whatever. But I'm divorced, so my kids are gone half the time, which helps a little bit. And school coming back was very helpful. School and summer camp allow me to actually make these books. But no, it was extremely challenging to work from home, especially when my kids were in kindergarten whenever virtual school year happened, and we did about 2 weeks of that, and then their mom was like, I'm not gonna try to make 2 6-year-olds stare at a camera all day. So yeah, it is really very difficult to focus on any creative endeavor when you have little people who want your attention.
Yeah. I know that from working with Justin and Pete. So
hey, come
Alex
on.
Bird.
Oh,
there you go.
I'm hungry, Alex. Feed me.
Not right now. We're in the middle of a show, Justin. Anyway, Dennis, you always, like you said, you had a bunch of projects that got scuttled back then, but I assume you have a couple in the works anyway. Other than Heart Eyes, what else is going on right now?
My other COVID book, the other book that I've been developing, it's not announced yet, but it's a crime story about my parents that I'm doing with Tyler Jenkins. And Hillary is doing our watercolors. So this is like a gorgeous indie crime book based on a real story about my parents from the 80s. I don't know when the hell that's coming out because it's a comicsology book and you have to finish the whole thing before they even do it. So sometime in the future, I've got that thing. But and then, I'm developing some stuff at DC and talking to a few other publishers. I really spent the last year and a half focused on these 2 creator-owned books. And then in the middle of all that, I did a Suicide Squad event with Robbie Thompson that ate my entire holiday season this past year and knocked everything back a little bit. But no, I'm excited to get back to some more work for hire next year.
Awesome. Well, Heart Eyes is... Oh, go ahead, Justin.
One more question. You seem to write a lot from your personal life. Obviously, great fodder, great way to connect emotionally with everything. Are you getting a project and then thinking about connecting with it through your own experience, or do you have like a sort of that thing of like, I want to do a book about having kids in COVID, or about the story from your your parents? Like, how do you sort of bring stuff to the personal level?
It comes from, I always try to put it in there, something relatable to me, so there's a reason I'm the one writing it. That's the best note I ever got from editor, is that lots of people pitch RoboCop meets Goonies. They're like two things you love smashed together. But why are you the person
Pete loving
that...
it, Kurt, right?
Sounds great.
You see, he just lit up.
Me up.
He lit up.
But why are you the person to write that? And how is that different from the 10 other things that are similar that we got? And that's always what my brain does eventually in the execution. Now I try to do it earlier in the process. So certain things, like I have a book that's based on my teenage experience that just came from that. But Spider-Woman, I didn't intend to make her a mom at the time whenever I was having kids for the first time. It just made sense with the story as we were going. It is always really important to me because, especially on superhero books, you get to where you're just kind of going through the motions and writing the tropes. If there's not some human thing that you want to say that's not just, well, Peter Parker's late again and disappointing people, like we've all seen that 1,000 times. And so I try to tie it in there. Sometimes it doesn't, like sometimes it's a little too personal and it's problematic. Like I did a Cloak and Dagger run that's sort of about my divorce. And it turns out that maybe that was too soon when I was doing it. But yeah, it's good to relate to the characters in a real human way, for me at least. It makes the stories have more depth and dimension.
Awesome. Dennis, Hard Eyes is great. Love the book.
Yeah,
very excited to see what happens next after that first issue, which obviously people will not see for a while. So I'll wait even longer for issue 2. But great stuff.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks.
Love
Dennis.
your work, Dennis. Like, truly, it feels that person. Well, he's gone now. Thanks.
I guess you'll never.
But what I was
going to
say is, I asked that question about the personal connection because I feel it in Dennis's work, and I really appreciate that because I think it's such a differentiator, especially in the superhero books that he does and that everyone's doing. Like, you really feel that.
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, just to plug it, Hard Eyes from Vault Comics coming out August 17th.
Hell of a first issue. Gorgeous. Like folks on the live show saw, those pages are awesome and they only get better from there. Why don't we bring in our second guest, another great guy to talk to. He is the writer of Oni Press's Blink, which comes out tomorrow, and it is also messed up in a very different way. Ladies and gentlemen, Christopher Sebela, hello. Hey,
how are you?
How's it going?
Good to see you. Excited to talk about this book. This is, like I was saying, pretty... Oh, there's one of Justin's kids. This is a pretty messed up book, but very fun to read. You always seem to have, with your books, like, these very specific pitch, very specific, like, tone ideas almost, I feel like I take away from them. What do you start with? Do you start with, like, the pitch line, the tone, feeling of the book? Where do you go?
This one was... It's an outlier because it's maybe the second or third pitch for comics I ever came up with. So
wow. Okay.
I mean, it's 11 years old at this point. And it's a thing I'd sort of given up on ever becoming a real book. So with this one, it was very much, I don't know. I mean, I guess it was sort of a tone thing. Like all of it was kind of driven by me wanting to, I'm obsessed with found footage horror movies.
That makes sense.
So yeah, I wanted to do something near it. You can't do a 1-for-1. Like, it's just impossible. Or you make the most boring comic ever. So yeah, this one was very much like idea first. And then, over the years I would come back to it and poke at it. And then it wasn't really until, I don't know, like 3 years ago or so, I really like sat down with it and tore it apart and put it back together again. Because I knew Hayden was becoming free. So I figured I better get to work on this. So yeah, this one's a lot more convoluted than most of my other books.
One of the things I have to imagine is hardest about doing a found footage comic book is, and I don't know if this is a surprise to you, comics are not footage. So how did you sort of crack that nut when you were approaching the book?
Basically by giving up on the core notion of doing a found footage comic. Like,
okay,
I just had to let that go because there's only the only way you could really do it. And I've actually talked to a couple artists about this is by releasing a comic that's like, hey, we found this comic, underneath a burned cabin in the woods. Mm-hmm. And we have cleaned it up and now we're putting it out to the public. That's really the only way you can do it. So I really made it more about like the things that I love about found footage and about horror in general. I mean, a lot of this stuff is derived from stuff that like scares me or that has been haunting me most of my life. So if nothing else, I tend to use books as a way of like trying to exercise these things from my head. So yeah, the found footage, we definitely still have moments of it in there, and a lot of it is very epistolary, where it's the narration is like these newsletters that our main character is writing to like her Patreon supporters and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I did my best to sort of weave it in, but yeah, ultimately I just had to sacrifice that dream.
Well, your details really pay off. I mean, we read a lot of comics, and I was really just impressed with not only the pace of this, but also like the fonts you use, the different kind of visual cues. This is a really creative, fantastically put together book, and it also gets you. I mean, I jumped at one panel. It grabs you, man. This is just this is really impressive. So I just wanted to say congrats.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, just to jump on it feels like that nightmare logic. Like it really, the imagery and like the way, like as Pete's saying, the pacing, like it's stuck in my brain in a way that is not true of a lot of comics.
Yeah, so you're changed after you.
I'm
read
fucked
this.
up. What I'm saying is I'm fucked up. Thank you, and please help me. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's the best thing I could have ever heard. So I'm glad I fucked you up.
I do think one of the two touch points that I kind of got here, and I don't know if this is getting too much into spoilers, but it kind of felt like, I don't know if you saw the show on Netflix, Archive 81 a little bit.
Yes.
It felt a little bit like
I
that.
I watched the first couple episodes and then I dropped out. But yeah, like, I knew that, so much of this book is really about like what Hayden does with what I'm giving them. And like this first issue, there's definitely moments where it looks crazy, but we're just I already have the first 4 issues. And things just get wilder and more insane. So,
oh man.
So yeah, go ahead.
All I was going to say was just jumping off of what you said about it's letting Hayden do what you give to them. What do you give to them then? Like what is that back and forth like?
I just give them a normal script, like here's how I see things, here's the dialogue, a lot of leaning into, emotional feelings for each scene, but otherwise, Hayden and I have worked together. We did a book at Aftershock called Cold War, another creator-owned book. And I knew from working with them on that the best thing I could do is just stay out of Hayden's way and just let them do whatever. I've probably given them 4 or 5 notes total over the whole, and a lot of it was just really, really minor, inconsequential stuff. I just have complete faith in Hayden that they will. They're just kind of amazing, and they're ridiculously young too. So they still have so much. They're just going to keep leveling up. So my goal was just like, here's everything you need to know. Here's all the emotional stuff you need to know, and then I will just back away, and you send in, basically like once the inks come in, then I will look at it. And it's always better than whatever I gave them.
Wow. What is it about this sort of technology part of our lives and the and the border between that and sort of the rest of our lives that really appeals to you, and that you're bringing here in that tense, horrifying way that is fucking me up as I speak into a computer right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, I it's, you know, I've described this book to some people as surveillance horror, and it's really like, you know, it's when I first came up with this idea, you know, 11 years ago, it was, you know, that was, I think, like the advent of things like really starting to ramp up, and now it's just so completely normal.
Oh, so you knew, you were like, this is coming. Let me just write it down here.
I am a futurist. I can see the future, and yet I choose not to make money off of it. I choose to ignore that gift and just write comics.
Well, I appreciate that. It's a smart move.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, it's just, you know, technology, you know, just sort of keeps churning along, and, you know, it's the frog in the water. You know, we're all just slowly, you know, nobody looks around and says like, wow, everything's changed so suddenly. It's like, no, you know, this has been happening since the moment we all started carrying computers in our pockets. And, you know, getting used to like CCTV everywhere, and, you know, social media is even greater now. So, you know, I'm not like anti-technology. I always tend to see like, what's the worst thing that anybody could do with it.
Now, I did want to ask, not to take an abrupt conversational turn, but you've done a bunch of books at Oni Press now, including this one, and obviously there's been a bunch of changes behind the scenes. Yeah. Is that anything that you feel like has affected you as a creator at all yet, or are you just trucking along and doing your books at this point?
I mean, it's freaked me out a bit. You know, I still know about as much as anyone else out there. Maybe a little bit more, but yeah, ultimately I can't let it, you know, really sort of get in the way. Really, all I have left is this final issue of Blink, which I've been writing. So I mean, that definitely kind of, you know, I was getting ready to like talk to my editor about the final issue, and then my editor wasn't there anymore. So it's like, oh, okay. So yeah, it's disquieting. It's you know, like it's a bummer, like, you know, because I've been for, you know, Oni was the first publisher that really like gave me a chance to pitch something. Awesome. And, you know, James and Charlie and Jasmine and Alex Segura and Henry, you know, they're all friends of mine, and it's just like, you know, they're all getting tossed out, and nobody knows why. I mean, everybody has guesses why, but like nothing solid has been stated. So yeah, it definitely freaks me out, but ultimately I can't let it, you know, we've come this far on the book. So I just have to stick the landing. And then I'll, you know, do all my panicking after that.
Yeah, I think that's the important part, and that was not to put you on the spot or anything like that.
No,
yeah,
that's fine.
My concern there is just, you're starting a great book. Of course, you want to end the great book, and then the worry is also corporations.
And I think we will. Like, I haven't gotten any indication that there's going to be, that they're like shutting it down or whatever. So,
great.
You know, hopefully, yeah, they let us finish it, and if not, then, you know, we'll figure out somewhere where we can finish it.
And real quick, just to put it out there for the listener, like Christopher has a sleeping dog next to him that is the most placid, restful sleep I've seen in years. Like, I'm jealous of. Can you tell us this dog's?
It's very hot here, so
yeah,
it's more of a stupor than sleep.
I dream of a stupor. I would love a stupor.
But what's your dog's name, if you don't mind?
Zola.
Aww.
So yeah, she's always much more interesting to look at on a visual podcast.
I love that you're literally splitting screen, like it's you on half the screen and Zola's literally filling the other half.
If I could like not be on the screen at all, I'd be a-okay with that.
You're doing great. You look amazing. Don't worry about it. You should do that. Pete has a picture of himself that he likes to put up instead of his face. Pete, you got that? You can just show that off. There we go. Pete puts that up whenever he feels uncomfortable. That's like his dog. That's his Zola.
That's his safety photo.
I just wanted to mention another book that you wrote that I absolutely loved, and I believe this was Oni as well, was Dirtbag Rapture. That I
we love that book.
So much fun, so creative. For anybody who didn't check out, it's basically, tell me if I'm describing it wrong, but it's basically a lady whose brain is a hotel for ghosts, and she gets wrapped up in sort of very apocalyptic end of the world stakes between angels and demons and things. Not only was that book super fun, but I just love how it ramped up so exponentially over the course of the run. Right. Are there any more plans to do anything in that world, or do you feel like you told the story you needed to tell?
I mean, we definitely told the story we needed to tell, but I have more ideas. I have this idea I got stuck on about occult IKEA. It's an IKEA store, but just for occult items, and there's only one in the world. So yeah, I'll still have like, I mean, the nice thing about Dirtbag Rapture is like we could keep it going, for a while and just do like. But I'm kind of cool, I would love to go back, but also I'm happy that we got to tell the complete story.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm always kind of torn on stuff like that because like. The moment I finish a book, I'm off to the next one, and I'm sometimes I'm working on 3 or 4 different books at the same time. So, and I'm always a little reticent about like going back to something that's done, because there's so much that I have undone. But I've talked to Kendall about it and about some of my ideas and. He seems into it, so I would love to go back at some point. But I don't know. It's one of those nebulous, like maybe projects down the road.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you're a creative engine where it's because that's what I love about Dirtbag Rapture is like, she's a hotel for ghosts, and it's like I feel like that you're just like no, that's point A.
Yeah, that's
so if you have like a dozen other ideas like that, you're like, no, I'm not going to go back to that one. I'm going. I'm moving here.
Yeah, I always just like feel like everybody's time is limited, especially like the last couple of years have made me like realize how easily I can get derailed by the world. So I'm very much into like. All right, let's tackle the next thing and then the thing after that. And like, then if I have energy after I get those done, then I'll circle back to some of this other stuff. But I try not to. Also, it's, since it is with Oni, I don't even know how all that shakes out. So, I always tend to be onwards and upwards and just kind of leave my stories there for whoever wants to find them and enjoy them. And then, if enough of them badger me, then I'll think about going back. Yeah. So I got like 3 votes already, so that's pretty good.
Yes. We are 100%. Definitely enjoying them so far. Blink is also great. I can't wait for people to check it out. Christopher, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was a pleasure chatting.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Get that super going. Enjoy that super life.
All right, there we go. Once again, the book is called Blink. It is out from Oni Press tomorrow as we are taking
gotta top that. It is really good.
Very good.
Yeah, very good. So check that out. And now we're going to move on to our next section, which is my favorite section because you all make it up. It is your audience questions. And in audience questions, all you got to do is drop a question and ask a question, or over in the comments on YouTube, and we'll get to it. But first, what you drinking? What you checking out? Pete, looks like you're having some of the good old Gatorade with no vodka this week.
Yeah, I'm still recovering from the COVID that I got that fucked my shit up. So I'm just drinking the electrolytes, trying to piece myself back together.
Nice. What about you, Justin? What are you drinking tonight?
I'm drinking, I got a glass of Oyster Bay Sauvignon Blanc kicking here. The nice white wine for some summer living. And then, don't you know I have getting frosty right next door, the Champagne and Beers highlights, ready for the second half of the show. I'm gonna pop it. You're gonna hear right when I'm ready to have it.
The champagne right there. Nice. That's that champagne.
So I don't have it anymore because I finished it off, but shout out to Straight Bullet, aka Macris, aka CBC Chef, who unfortunately is also down for the count this week, so not having the drink with us, but he did curate from the Gotham cocktail book Talons Out, which is a little bit of rum, some curacao, lime juice, top off with soda. You sprinkle it with some nutmeg. Pretty good. Not too much nutmeg.
What aren't I sprinkling with nutmeg right now? You know what I'm talking about? I'm covered in nutmeg. Yeah. I'll
tell you what. Here's my hot tip if you make this one. Leave out the soda. I felt that I had a second smaller one.
Boring.
It's boring.
I don't like all that non-alcohol.
Also, leave out the lime juice and the curacao and just drink a big glass of rum. That's what
that's how you get down.
Sipping rums, says Alex.
Exactly. All right, why don't we move on to some questions here? We've got one from Eduardo. Any thoughts about San Diego Comic-Con? Any memories of when you guys last attended the con?
That was so great.
I'm going to challenge you. Some memories that we haven't mentioned incessantly over the past decade.
Yeah, all we do is repeat our shit.
The King of San Diego / Pete getting high with Kyle Baker. Yeah, we've covered those memories.
Yes, we've covered those. I'll throw out, this is one that I'll throw out two specific memories. Justin, it was you, me, and Gabrus, right? Hosting a panel outside on the lawn. Was that? It was the three of us, right?
What was that panel, by the way?
I don't know. It was it wasn't like the Adult Swim stage or something like that. It was some stage, and we got asked to do a panel there, but it was outside. It was, I think, the Sunday of Comic-Con. Yeah. I honestly don't even remember who was on the panel or anything like that. All apologies to the guests. But I just remember, like, it being very different from doing, obviously, a panel inside with the wind coming off of the bay and everything.
Well, and it had a little bit of that, like, sort of outdoor summer festival vibe. It was the same stage that I think Kevin Smith had done his Fat Man on Batman show, which we walked past to sort of be like, oh, that's where we're going to be. But, yeah, I mean, those random panels are very fun.
Yes.
I don't know if I told this story or not, but one of my favorite San Diego moments was I was standing in line. It was something for Star Wars, and it was me and this very nice lady standing there in this giant line, and we're at the end. And, we're kind of small talking, like, oh, yeah, have you been here before, that kind of stuff. And then just as we're kind of like wrapping up talking, my friend and her son run over at the same time, and they both bought lightsabers, and my friend is like 30 plus and this kid is like 10, and they both have the hugest smiles on their face, and they're just like, look what we got. And it was just like the funniest kind of like moment. And what was cool was later we went to this like hoity-toity beach party, and like all these people were drinking wine on the beach, and they're like, oh, how was the San Diego Comic-Con? And we were like, we got a lightsaber, and watched like as everybody put their wine down and picked up a lightsaber and turned into a little kid. It was just so magical.
Oh, that's very nice.
That's really sweet. The couple I would shout out, I guess, I mean, and we probably have talked about this, but maybe not in a while. Our first big panel we did at San Diego, where we had Hard and Firm with Chris Hardwick on the show. And we had a lot of people there, but we were in a huge hall, and the panel after us was the Buffy sing-along. And someone was like, do you guys want to open up let the Buffy fans in? And we were like, hell yeah, we do. And it filled up, and we ended up doing a show for like 1,000 people, I want to say.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. And they all were like into it. We did our bits. It was like a really fun moment where a crowd of people who happened to be there to see us really got on board, and that was exciting.
Yeah, that was super, super fun. Talking about this year, obviously we didn't go, but my impression from the outside is it felt like, for the most part, San Diego kind of like didn't miss a beat, which I was very surprised about. I thought it was going to be knocked down a little bit from going virtual for a couple of years, but it seemed like the studios really wanted to come back. And that's sort of the big thing with San Diego. So you did have all these big outdoor activations. I don't think it was the madhouse of news that it has been in previous years, pre-COVID, but the Marvel Hall H panel obviously dominated. It seemed like the WB stuff went well. There seemed like there was a bunch of fun comics announcements as well. So that's good. I don't know. I'm glad everybody had a nice time.
Yeah, it seemed like a lot of great news came out, and I'm excited to talk about.
It definitely felt like the Marvel stuff really built everything up and ended up being like the tentpole that everything else fell under, which isn't always what happens. It feels like there are multiple. I think we can get into this later, but it feel odd that like there was just no other like DC or other.
Dude, we talking about the Black Adam shit drop? That was bananas.
I don't know if you saw the Marvel stuff, but I think it's slightly overshadowed our guy, Black Adam.
It's not like nothing happened from DC. There was some stuff. I mean,
name one other thing. Name one other thing.
Yeah, what was the one other thing that came out, Pete?
Besides Black Adam.
DC Super Pets?
Nope. They did.
That's literally
they showed off
out.
the first Shazam trailer. That was the other thing that happened. So they showed off those two things. It does feel like they... Stray Bullet is mentioning Harley Quinn. Yeah, there was other DC stuff that happened, but in terms of the WB panel, it was really only those two things. And I think they were aware, like, they're obviously having huge troubles with Ezra Miller in The Flash. They could have done something where they brought out Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck, I guess, to be like, 2 Batmans in the Flash movie, but I don't even think they know how to talk about that yet. They've got all the stuff that was going to HBO Max, was not. But with the merger and everything going on behind the scenes,
their company just got bought. Like it's a chaotic time over there. It just felt like they ceded ground in a way that you don't usually see. I think in their team where they were like, you know what, we lost this one. You take that W, and we'll see you next year. And it's like, oh, that's not a great look in general.
Yeah. But we'll see. They're obviously in a huge amount of turmoil. People are actually losing their jobs and getting fired and everything. So
horrifying.
Yeah. There you go.
Not a great time to be under that umbrella, which is an umbrella I am currently under. Who bought Warner Brothers, says Stray Bullet, and it's Discovery.
Yes, as you might expect, Discovery Channel bought Warner Brothers, not the other way around. That's the main thing. What you think?
That's what everybody wanted. They wanted, like, imagine Aquaman hosting a food show. Let's just think about it.
Or I was going to say, like, a Shark Week or something. You know what I mean? That would be cool.
Yeah. This is from Stray Bullet. You get 3 wishes, and the only rule is that you can't wish for more wishes. What are your wishes? I can't do the Punisher quiz today. Sorry, Alex. Oh,
no, thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Okay, so you get 3 wishes. You can't vote. You can't wish for free. More. Never mind. You know what he said.
you know what he said.
I'm gonna pull a Warner Brothers and take the L on this one.
Yeah, nice, great. You ceded ground.
Yep.
3 wishes, no more wishes. Oof. I'm gonna go with a couple basics. Immortality.
Boo.
Yeah.
For me and the fam. Let's shout out.
Well, quick question. You have 2 more wishes, so I want to see if I can get you. But, are you going to do immortality, but not eternal youth? Because in Greek mythology, that's how we got grasshoppers.
What?
Do you know about this? Do you know about this myth?
What?
I don't remember the name of the guy.
Oh, Alex got a hot myth.
This is one of my favorite weird Greek myths.
Myth. Alex dropping a fresh
All right,
myth.
I'm going to drop a fresh myth on you guys right now. So there's a guy who asks, I think it's Zeus, to live forever. And Zeus is like, no problem. You're immortal. But he doesn't give the guy eternal youth. And so the guy lives forever, but he keeps getting wrinklier and wrinklier and smaller until he turns into a grasshopper. And that's why we have grasshoppers. And there's like a little bit of a leap of logic, like a very tiny, tiny leap of logic going on.
The natural, like, it's not like as I'm getting older, I'm like, I'm more of a grasshopper than I've ever been before. So, like, I can't get fully behind that myth, but I agree with Eduardo. We have a new segment with Alex's Fresh Myth Corner where Alex is going to drop a fresh myth that applies.
I'll see what I can do. I got a couple of them stored up.
Ooh, really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get older, so yeah, it's like a sort of an immortality that keeps me like a little bit fresh. Like, sure. I'm fine now. I could do now.
So that's like your number one wish. Should we each do our number one wish so we don't get too bogged down? Pete, what's your number one wish?
Oh, jeez. I would say I would wish for if somebody was hungry, food would appear.
If someone was hungry?
Yeah, anybody.
Anybody?
Mm-hmm.
Food would appear.
That's right.
Wow. That's really nice.
That's really nice.
You
wouldn't say like a shorter Wolverine? Like a Wolverine.
Oh, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it.
That's wish too?
Yeah. It was actually 3.
Gosh, I guess I'd say no COVID or something like that. So I guess
COVID is your wish.
Yeah.
Well,
dude,
I'm saying
we're
no
living in a
COVID
fantasy.
for anybody.
Don't yell at him for his wish, you dickhead. You were
we get rid of COVID.
So
I'd get rid of COVID. Pete would solve
him.
world hunger, and you'd be like, I want to fucking live forever, just me.
Get out of here. The whole point of the wish question is to reveal something about yourself, and you guys are dropping.
What it revealed about us is we care about the world, and you only care about yourself.
Yeah. Have you ever ever been hungry and you weren't near a garbage plate? It's awful.
Yeah. Oh, garbage plate. Garbage plates for everyone.
I guess I'd wish for no child to ever be sad. All right, why don't we move on?
Well, I was just going to ask, and I had a cool hat. I wanted a cool hat to walk around with.
Always be
Get
cool
hat.
I think we just addressed this, but Jonathan McCool says, who do you think won San Diego Comic-Con this year? Lots of good stuff came out. Any favorites?
Black Panther, Wakanda Forever.
I mean, Marvel won, I think. If you want to get more granular than that, I think we can.
Maybe we should extendedly talk about the Marvel stuff over in the Week in Geek this week. What do you think about that?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got to talk about it.
Absolutely. But yeah, I think Marvel is probably the big winner there. I don't really see any other winners. This is another one from Stray Bullet, who gets an extra one because he's not feeling well this evening. When Tom King's Mr. Miracle came out, issue number 5, when Barter tells Scott that she is unexpectedly pregnant, it hit home to me because I had literally just found out my wife was pregnant. The rest of the series resonates with me in a lot of ways because of it. Have there been books that have resonated with you because something similar was going on in your lives? Good question.
Well,
great question.
When I was going through my first divorce was when Lock and Key split me in half, and I kind of very much felt like that guy.
Interesting.
I like that you say first divorce, like you have more coming.
Oh, I got more coming, baby. You just wait.
Lock and load.
Come on.
Okay. Can't wait. That's a great.
You're not
answer.
living unless you only get one, bro. You gotta go fucking hard.
Yeah. If I had a second wish, I guess multiple divorces.
Yeah.
And Alex, isn't that selfish? Isn't that a little selfish for you?
Not to
trying to take all the divorces.
From. She doesn't have to deal with me anymore. My God.
Exactly.
What were we talking about? Comics that hit you personally at the time you were reading them.
I think for me, there was a Green Lantern annual, Kyle Rayner, about him going into a painting. And it was about sort of slipping into a story, and then
that was the Sinestro Corps special, or whatever it was.
Was it? No, I think it was unrelated to annual.
Correct him while he's telling the fucking story.
Okay.
Let him
I'll look
fucking.
it up.
I'm curious actually because the Sinestro Corps War is the one that makes me cry when he. I think this was an annual.
What part of it was?
So the connection is like.
Did you find a ring on the floor once? Like, help me here.
Yeah, I found a Green Lantern ring, and I can manifest objects that come out of my mind. No, the idea of like he slips into like a creative, like into a painting, and then it's driven by his like interest in fandom for the adventure, and that sort of creative being that sort of creative engine inside something you love has always connected with me.
Is this Green Lantern annual number 6? Might be that. It looks like he goes into a painting in this.
Yes, so I actually bought an original page from that book. The artist was selling them, and I got it during COVID. It's sitting in my home.
This is not a great answer because it came out much later, but like I'm forgetting the name of it. I have it right over there on the shelf. But there's
when Old Man Logan pops his claws finally.
Yeah, because that was right before that happened. I finally popped my claws.
Oh, hey, congrats.
No, there's. Yeah, what were you going to say?
Nothing. I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say what I was going to say.
No, go ahead. I definitely wasn't going to say the same thing.
You know what I was thinking, so I think we're good just from a you and me standpoint, and everyone else can imagine what horrifying thing I was about to say.
Yeah. Pop my fingernails, right?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Something you pop normally.
I am completely forgetting the name of the book, but there's this 9/11 graphic novel that hit me very hard. It came out like a year or two after 9/11, and it was just sort of this tone poem of a guy post 9/11 wandering around the city, and it really just brought me directly back to that place of doing exactly the same thing post 9/11, just walking around the city, looking at things, like trying to memorize buildings and remembering them because they could be gone at any point. So not exactly the answer, but that definitely hit me very hard in a very specific emotional way. We got one more.
That's really nice. I'm sorry my child came in right when you were having a sort of a serious 9/11 conversation with
No, that's fine. It always happens. The last one here is from Kevin. What are some of your favorite comics that are about things that should not work in the comic format but somehow do? In honor of Pete's birthday, Alex and Justin must answer in British accents. If Stray can't, I want to take the Secret Punisher quiz.
Oh, no.
All right. Well, I'll bring Kevin in. You guys answer the questions in the meantime.
Wait, what was the question?
Oh, you got distracted. What are some of your favorite comics that are about things that should not work in the comic format but somehow do?
Oh, the Key of Z. Remember that zombie comic that was very musical? A lot of times when they have music,
deep pull. I love it.
A lot of times when comics have music, for me, I don't connect, but I thought that was such a great way to use music in a comic that was not only powerful, very poignant.
I think Ice Cream Man's a great example of a comic that really pushes and pulls on the format to come up with stuff that I'm always surprised with.
And we talk about this all the time, but I feel like Lock and Key, a lot of the horror stuff shouldn't work in a comic book. Jump scares shouldn't work in a comic book. So,
yeah, you're right. They shouldn't, but they do.
But they do. And here is Kevin to take the Punisher quiz. So take it away, Pete. While you're doing
I was answering the question and not pulling up the Punisher quiz. So
no, that's fine.
I think we left off on the one where nobody wanted to say the back to school special.
Yeah, yes. That's exactly right.
Wow. Kevin knows more about the quiz than you do, Pete. Watch out.
I was just pulling it up. I knew which one we left off at. It's just, nobody wants. So it was question number 6. Kevin, welcome. Here we go. Question number 7. This is the last question, and then there's a physical challenge. So hopefully you're able to get it done. Okay, here we go. Question number 7. According to Wikipedia, which team was the Punisher not affiliated with? Is it A, Secret Defenders, B, Thunderbolts, or C, Midnight Assassins?
I know this answer.
According to Wikipedia, which team is the Punisher not affiliated with? A, Secret Defenders, B, Thunderbolts, C, Midnight Assassins.
A birdie is telling me to go with C.
Well, that's cheating. I'm asking you, but I guess...
How are you going to differentiate here?
Yeah, I guess...
How are you going to differentiate here?
All right, so yes, that is correct. C is correct.
Wow.
All right, so now it is the physical challenge. All right, are you ready? You have exactly 1 minute to show me something with the Punisher logo on it. Go.
And I have...
Just
I do have something, but I don't know if I can get to it in a minute. Let me try.
Hurry.
You got a minute.
Oh, stop talking to us. Run. In the meantime, while we're waiting, we can quick answer a question from YouTube here. Stanley says, did Pete watch Riverdale? Pete, have you watched this week's Riverdale yet?
Not yet, no.
Oh, man.
Boy.
Sick
You're in for a ride, Betty.
Have you ever been so sick you couldn't watch TV?
No, I have not.
That's never happened to me.
Honestly, when I had COVID, watching TV was the only thing I did.
Yeah, when you say, "Oh wait, Kevin's back,"
all right.
Well, I can't get to what I was going to show you because it's buried, unfortunately.
Buried,
it's a skull. It's an actual skull in a grave.
Show us, man. You're almost out of time, bro.
Show us. Put it on camera, quick, Kevin.
I got nothing else.
Wow!
Wait,
I know what I have. I have a mess, but I know what's in it.
All right.
Oh man!
And I know, unfortunately, the only Punisher thing I have is buried in the closet.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kev. I'm
just
sorry.
like the Punisher's family.
Oh, hey.
Wow. All right. Well, we're gonna have to catch up with that again. Thank you, Kevin. We'll check you next time.
It's gonna be hard to do
Good to
to
see you,
replicate this with a new.
Yeah, you might have to come up with another quiz question or something.
Yeah,
maybe.
All right. That is it for your audience questions. We're now going to move on to our next section, which is repetitively trivia. And for that, we're going to turn it over to Keith
Woo! All right. Today's trivia. Oh, do we have a person? No. Are we first hand up?
Yeah. Whoever wants to say first hand up or me, or anything like that, we will bring them on screen. Maybe we should just bring Kevin back and have him do trivia.
All right.
We could do that.
W.
Yeah. He says okay. So there you go. All right. I'm bringing Kevin back in. He can do trivia. And that way he doesn't feel bad about losing, I don't know, a human skull in his closet or whatever's going on there.
Yeah, exactly. He needs to pay for a burial, clearly. So let's definitely...
Yeah. Give him $25 in Midtown gift cards.
Yeah.
All right.
Today's trivia is on topical comic news and a small nod to legend Tony Sirico, a.k.a. Paulie Walnuts, R.I.P. Please listen to all three options before making your selection.
Tony Sirico.
Here we go. Question number 1. What is the name of the new Avengers book out in September? Is it A, All In Avengers, B, All Out Avengers, or C, Heather B? So it's either A, which doesn't make sense, or it's B, All Out Avengers.
I'm going to go with B.
That's right. Don't overthink it. Nice job. All right, here we go. Question number 2. Who in the DC world is getting a year 1 comic out in October? Is it A, Bane, B, the Riddler, or C, Keith David? So it's either A, Bane, don't pick it, or it's B, the Riddler.
Ooh, I want to read Riddler year 1.
Oh, well, you will, because it's coming out in October. All right, here we go.
Someone's getting their wish. Question 3. Show us a Punisher logo that you have in your home.
Okay, here we go. Last one. In the world of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, what is the next chapter in The Last Ronin? Is it A, Second to Last Ronin, B, The Lost Years, or C, Chris Tucker? So it's either A, which doesn't make sense, or it's B, The Lost Years.
I'll go with B, The Lost Years.
You are correct, sir.
Yes.
25 free dollars yours to Cartel Comics online.
Congratulations, Kevin. What is the secret movie that Pete is indicating with his third answers?
A Chris Tucker film.
That's right.
Well, with Keith David.
You're damn right.
And Tony Sirico,
which has me thinking maybe something like Dead Presidents.
You are correct. The 1995 hit Dead Presidents.
You're a machine.
Ice cold. Kevin's ice cold.
All right. Thanks so much, Kevin. Congratulations. And as we all know, new comic books, they're pretty cool. They're coming out. Pete, what are you looking forward to?
Fun. They're fun, these new comic books. Well, I'm looking for A Righteous Thirst for Vengeance number 10. I'm looking for Something is Killing the Children number 25, as well as Batman One Dark Night book 3. And that's Night with a K.
Justin, what about you? What are you looking forward to?
Great question. I want to shout out, I guess I'm going to go with I Hate This Place number 3, a comic about a haunting of a house. The tone of this comic is very fun. It's sort of funny in the right places, but also truly terrifying all the way through. Let me also just quickly shout out Deadly Class, a book I've loved. I can't believe Pete doesn't love it, but I guess he doesn't because he didn't say it. Deadly Class number 54. This comic is coming to a close, and this issue feels very personal to the Rick Remender lifestyle. And I got to give it up for Iron Cat number 2 by Jed McKay, bringing some of that Black Cat lifestyle that I love. Felicia.
While we're giving a bunch of shout outs to stuff, I'll give a shout out to Public Domain number 2 from Image Comics, Chip Zdarsky's book. The twist at the end of the first issue was that this old comic book team, the artist who previously thought he didn't have any of the rights to basically like a Superman style character, find out he had all the rights, and that's where we pick up in this issue. So it's almost like a legal thriller set in the comic book world. So I'm very excited to see how that all turns out. Also, Superman Space Age number 1 from DC Comics. That's out today, but written by Mark Russell, who we always love, and Mike and Laura Allred on art. Absolute favorites. I'll read anything that they do. They're so good. Yeah. So getting a throwback classic book with that team is very, very exciting.
True. Plus Blink.
Yes, and Blink, which I'll plug again in a second, but that is it for this week's show. A couple of people we want to thank. We want to thank Chris Sebela. You can check out Oni Press's Blink, which comes out tomorrow. It's very cool and very spooky. Also, Heart Eyes from Dennis Hopeless from Vault Comics comes out August 17th, so definitely check that out. The art is awesome in that book, and there's some really fun twists. You're in for a good ride. A couple of other things to plug. Next week on the show, Matt Kint is going to be here to talk about his projects Flux House, as well as Mind Management Bootleg. And Dan Panosian, one of our favorites here on the show, is also going to be on the show to talk about all of his projects, like his picture of Pete that he drew. A couple of other things to plug. Riverdale After Dark, or Riverdale podcast. Almost done with this season. It has been a wild ride. Pete's going to get caught up, I promise. Also, The Doom Room, our Doom Patrol podcast, every Thursday with new episodes, or you can get them all at patreon.com/comicbookclub right now. Subscribe on Apple, Android, Spotify, Stitcher, or the app of your choice, at Comic Book Live on Twitter, Comic Book Club Live on Instagram, comicbookclublive.com.
There it is.
This podcast and many more. Until next time, good night.
Yes! Night. Back with me.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Good night, gang.